Hello, this is chapter 9, video number 3. This is just a straight confidence interval example with proportions. So I have gone ahead and reformatted this one just slightly, and then we're going to go ahead and go over how to create a confidence interval. So right here, we do have a 90% confidence interval. And here's what they gave us. They gave us that x equals 540 and n equals 1200. All right, well, that's not very helpful. Doesn't seem like a proportion, but we do need to make this into a proportion. Now, this is telling me that there were 540 out of 1200 that displayed some sort of characteristic. Maybe it's 540 people out of 1200 think that chocolate chip cookies are the best. Or maybe 540 people out of 1200 people think that green is the prettiest color. Or any other characteristic. It does not give us a context, but we can still create a confidence interval for this. So first thing that we need to do is we do need to turn this into a proportion, So for our sample proportion, let's take a look. Well, we had 540 out of 1200 sampled that displayed some characteristic. And if we divide those, our sample proportion is 45% of the population, or 45% of the sample had some type of characteristic. So I'm going to use that as my point estimate. Our point estimate is 45%. All right, now, if this is just a sample, it is very unlikely that your sample of 1200 was exactly the true proportion that had this characteristic. Yeah, maybe let's talk about cookies. Maybe 45% of people said that chocolate chip cookies were the best in the sample, but actually everyone knows that that's higher. It was all the way up to 52% in all with the whole population. So we're going to go ahead and turn this into a 90% confidence interval. All right, so first thing I like to do is kind of get a little sketch as to what we're looking at here. I want 90% confidence. All right, so let's talk about what is left at our tails. If we have 90% confidence, that means that we have 10% that is left to both tails. And if 10% is left to both tails, that means that 5% is left to this tail and 5% is left for this tail. All right, so here's where we're at so far. First off, we got our point estimate, 45%, done. Next, we looked at what percentage of confidence we're looking at. We're looking at 90%, and that means that our two tails, if we have 10% left for the two tails, that means 5% left for this one and 5% left for that one. Now we do need to figure out how many standard deviations below and how many standard deviations above this is. So this is where we use our inverse CDF on Desmos, inverse CDF on Desmos. So here we go. First up, you do have to define that we're talking about a normal distribution. I know it seems silly, let A equal the normal distribution, but there is another type of distribution we're going to talk about. We've already talked about binomial. So we're looking for inverse CDF. We're looking at a normal distribution, distribution A, and then the percentage that I want was 5%, 5%. So we're looking for 5%. All right, inverse CD. Oh, sorry, I need to add those parentheses there. All right, so inverse CDF of the normal distribution and 0.05, we are looking for negative 1.64 standard deviations below. So we're looking at negative 1.64 standard deviations below. Now, because this is symmetric, since we're going minus 1.64 standard deviations below, you're going to need positive 1.64 standard deviations above. All right, so let's talk about the steps so far. First off, we got our point estimate, done. Then we figured out 90%, we have 5% at each tails, but a percentage is not going to help us out. We do need to figure out what is that critical value, how many standard deviations below are we looking at? And after doing inverse CDF, I have negative 1.64 standard deviations. All right, next, we got to figure out what is a standard deviation. What is our standard deviation of this sampling distribution? Well, let's take a look here. If I'm looking at my standard deviation, remember we have square root of PQ over N. So right here, 45% had that characteristic, which means that 55% did not, And then finally, how many total things were sampled? Make sure you choose the right number here. This is 1,200 that were sampled. So 1,200. All right. So 45% had that characteristic, 55% did not. Out of 1,200 total that were sampled, let's go ahead and look at what that comes out to be. 0.45, 0.55, all over 1,200. All right, and our standard deviation is actually pretty small. It is only about 1.4%. So I'll go ahead and say 0.0144. 0.0144. 0.0144. All right, now we are ready to finally come up with our final calculations. So here we go. For our lower bounds, here's what we ended up with. First off, our point estimate was 45%. I need to subtract 1.64 standard deviations away, and each standard deviation is right at 0.0144. 0.0144. All right, so let's take a look at our lower bounds here. Actually, I'm going to kind of cheat if that's okay with you. 0.45 minus 1.64 times whatever that is. And my lower bound is right about 42.6%, so 40.426. All right, and luckily for us, we don't have to change too much here. Instead of subtracting 1.64 standard deviations, this time we're going to be adding them. So plus 1.64 times 0.0144. All right, and here we go. Instead of subtracting, I'm going to go ahead and add. And my upper bound is going to be 47.4. 47.4. All right, so we finally have our bounds. Our original estimate was 45%, but it could be all the way down to 42.6% or all the way up to 47.4%. So finally, let's go ahead and talk about our interpretation here. Last thing is our interpretation. I want to make sure that we go over this. All right, so I am 90% confident that the true proportion, and it didn't specify what we're talking about, cookies or favorite colors or whatever, but that the true proportion is between 0.426 and 0.474. All right, so final recap. First thing, find your point estimate. Put that right in the middle of your normal distribution. Once you figure out your confidence intervals, this was 90%, we were left with 5% and 5%. Do your inverse CDF to figure out that critical z-score. All right, once you do that, find your standard deviation, and then the only thing left to do is is to actually calculate those bounds. All right, I'll have one more video going over an example. Please watch it if needed. If not, feel free to get started on this last homework. Have a good day.